Hello, how are you? If you are getting ready to relocate to Huntsville, Alabama within the next 30 days, 90 days, 60 days, 6 months, even all the way out to a year, I am doing a live specifically for you. So then that way you can help have a better understanding of what to expect and how to avoid losing $10,000 or more as you're getting ready to relocate here to Huntsville, Alabama. So if this live is what you're looking for, stay tuned because I have a lot of information that you can definitely use. Okay. So first things first, I am Aisha Buycks. I'm with Amanda Howard Sotheby's International Realty here in Huntsville, Alabama. And today we are going to be discussing relocating to Huntsville, avoid costly mistakes, and make your move smooth. Okay. The hidden cost of poor planning, $10,000 plus in avoidable costs. Relocating without proper planning can be extremely detrimental to your relocation process to the Huntsville, Alabama area. So do not miss out on the opportunity to plan and collaborate with someone who can work with you here on the ground, already here in Huntsville, and who also understands what you're going through as you're making your transition here into the area. And so, as you can see, don't let poor planning derail your Huntsville relocation. Every successful plan starts with understanding about what lies ahead. So, why is Huntsville America's hidden gem that's no longer not so hidden anymore? It's because we have explosive job growth here in our area. Our area has higher demand for jobs. So for those of you who are incoming with places like Space Command and you have spouses who are also career professionals, then guess what? We have an opportunity here for them as well. Your family can come in quite easily and get into our job market and present themselves marketable. Okay, we have unbeatable in affordability, so you can enjoy big city amenities with small town prices. Still, we are still under our median price point per home is $335,000 currently. So we can still beat out any area. And we also have lower property taxes here within our area. Now, if you're one of those civilians who is relocating here, and let's say you're already retired once before and you have decided that you want to relocate here and retire, then once you reach a certain age, um, of the young age of 65 plus, then you can enjoy the benefit of claiming your homestead to have to pay no property taxes. And for those of you who are coming in who are also prior military or retired and you're 100% disabled, then you also too get to reap the benefits of no property taxes here within our state. So we have a lot of opportunity here within our area that provides affordability for you and your family. And then also Huntsville is in the surrounding area is a family first type of lifestyle. We have a lot of new parks, we have a lot of greenway, there's a lot of top rated schools and recreation, indoors and out, that cater specifically to families. So, what catches newcomers off guard when they first get here? Let's start with our number one bang, traffic. The traffic reality here is not what it looks like on Google Maps. Let me make that very clear to you now. So, how you can be affected determines where you live, how far out you live, and what time you have to report versus get off. Now, hey, those people who are opting or who are able to get to work at 6:30, and they want to be the early incomers, then guess what? This portion isn't even about you or for you. However, if you're coming in after that, you have to take into consideration that number one, we have a large group of people here that initially we weren't necessarily prepared for when it came down to our roadways, for infrastructure and travel. But I will tell you, they're working on it. And when I say they're working on it, that means it's going to cause delays. So in areas when you're looking at the map, say at like Meridianville or Harvest or Decatur, you're looking at the map and you're going, oh, Google Maps tells me that this is 25 minutes away from Redstone Arsenal. That's not how life is going to work out. So make sure you plan ahead because there's going to be accidents, there's going to be road construction, especially if you're traveling up and down Memorial Parkway. They're doing road construction on both ends. They're doing road construction on Highway 255, which we locally call Research Park or Research Boulevard. They're doing road construction on our main interstate heading into towards downtown from Decatur on 565. So in all of our major thoroughfares, you're going to run into road construction, which means you're going to run into longer wait times. Okay. School district nuances. Okay, so there are some different areas that are annexed into Madison that are in Limestone County, which technically is Athens area, but they're annexed into Madison City Schools. We have some Madison City areas, or it looks like you might actually be in Madison, but you really have a Huntsville address. Those areas may be actually zoned for Huntsville City Schools. You can even have a Madison address and still be zoned for Huntsville City Schools because Huntsville City has annexed that area. So make sure you're being mindful of those um, opportunities and situations. If school ends up being based upon district, which one is most important to you? I will also tell you Huntsville City Schools has the magnet programs. They also have blue ribbon schools. Madison City also has blue ribbon schools. Um, Between the two, there can be a difference in class ratio size. So do your homework. If you have special needs children, i.e., they're on autistic spectrum or things of that nature, then you can go ahead and start getting in communication with the school, especially if you've already made plans and you're acquiring your home or you have already acquired your home before arrival, which that will be important because they're going to ask you for that information when you register your student. Then they will be more than happy to go ahead and get your IEP processes already started here. And if you have your IEP information at your in your current location, then make sure you provide them with that information as well. Having little twin boys who are on the spectrum, that is a journey that I am currently transversing and have been made aware of all the things to make it go a little bit easier. So make sure you stay on top of those things. Make sure you have that paperwork already in place on site before you get here. And so then that way, as soon as you arrive, you can already start jumping into your processes, okay? And once you submit that paperwork, they have 90 days to get that done. Also, one of the unique features that Huntsville City and Madison City schools have to offer, as well as Madison County, they do have a pre-K program. Now, pre-K program starts off at pre-K 4. However, if you have any of those things that I previously discussed that you're dealing with, it can start as low as 3. Now, pre-K does get out way sooner than everyone else. So They don't have an after school program for the pre-Kers, so that will be something that you will have to take into consideration as you move forward in the future. Other than that, pre-K 4, magnet school programs, those are all lottery based. And again, you need to have your domicile already established here so that you can participate in that process. Okay. And just to give you a heads up, October is generally when they go ahead and start magnet school applications for the next school year. And depending on what school your child is in, then you are going to either be there from kindergarten or pre K, however soon you start, up through eighth grade, or you're going to be there from kindergarten up to sixth grade. So keep that in mind because deciding what school your little one is going to go to is extremely important to you, just as well as mine was to me. And so that's something that you should definitely take into consideration. All right, so y'all, we have weather, okay? I will admit we do see all four seasons sometimes, and then sometimes we don't. And how does that show up? Okay, so let's talk about how winter can be. Right now, we're currently in the fall months and we're heading into winter. So if you're looking at being one of those people who's getting ready to come here, I'm talking to you first. So then that way you can be weather prepared. Winter here can be a little bit tricky, okay? Sometimes we have mild winters, sometimes we have winter winters. And when I say we have winter winters, because we are closer to the Tennessee line, we have a tendency sometimes to get Tennessee affected snow and weather. Okay. And so during those times, of course, when we have extreme cold, when we have extreme ice, and when we have extreme snow, you will see delays in school for the extreme cold days. When we have ice storms or ice over roads, you will also see delays. And then in our most extreme cases, when we have ice and snow, then you are definitely going to see school closures. And generally in those situations, Redstone Arsenal does what they need to do, and most of the surrounding area, depending on how your contractor operates if you're in one of those supporting job opportunities. Okay, so as we move from winter, we can go into the spring. And so in spring, this is where, things can get a little bit tricky, a little bit shaky, and what most people are generally concerned about when they're here. So, number one, you want to make sure that you're prepared for your spring and you have weather apps on your phone like WAFF, WHNT31, and also make sure that your phone is programmed so that you can receive weather alerts within your settings on your phone, whether it's Apple or Android. You want to make sure those settings are already in place and on, so then that way you can receive those alerts in the springtime. Now, spring can start off extremely cool or it can start off real mild. It just really depends on what type of year. You can never really tell because we can literally go from it being extremely cold in February and in March, and boom, April 1st hits and we're dead smack into 70-degree weather. However, we have storms, and when those storms come through, they can produce tornadoes or they can produce straight line winds, which can be also just as dangerous as a tornado. So, again, you want to make sure that you have your apps set up on your phone. You also want to make sure that you have a weather radio within your home as well, because Madison County, unlike other counties or areas in the state, and I've lived in Montgomery prior to living here. And the difference is that in Montgomery, you hear the sirens everywhere. They want you to hear the sirens, whether you're indoors or outdoors. So they're extra loud. Whereas here in Huntsville, they're not quite that loud. Sometimes, depending on how close you are to a siren, you can actually hear the siren, but just in general, they're not designed for you to hear them inside your home. So if you have little ones, or if you have, if you're hard of hearing, you definitely don't want to rely on just the sirens within the area. They will expressly tell you those sirens are for the people who are outside, okay, not the people inside. So you want to make sure that you get you a weather radio, and you want to have it programmed. And for my personal comfort, I have mine programmed to start with when the weather hits Decatur, which from here, in non-heavy traffic days, is approximately 25-minute drive, depending on where you're going within the city of Decatur. Other than that, you can be there in about 20 minutes, just reaching Decatur. So I like to have that window, that buffer, to go ahead and let me know that, hey, there's something already coming. And then after that, I'm getting weather alerts for Athens. And then after that, it's Madison, and then Huntsville. And then after that, I'm like, okay, it's beyond us. However, make sure you get your weather radio and your weather prepared. You can reach out to a lot of storm shelters if your house does not already include one. There are also builders in the area who will build you one either in your master closet, depending on the size. They will also put one in your garage. You can do above ground or you could do in ground. The opportunity and the choice is yours, but do make sure that there is safety prep. Otherwise, we find centralized locations within our home so that we can stay safe, like inside of a middle section bathroom or a hallway that's deeply nestled inside the middle of your home. Even if it is a pantry closet, if it's centered and it's in the middle and it's away from all the windows, get there. Laundry room, pick one. Be safe. All right. And so let's move on. Oh, summers. Summers are hot. So be prepared that there's going to be a lot of heat, high temperatures. We can have summers where we can have weeks to even months, no rain, no relief. We can have 90 plus heat days with heat indices, which means that they're effectively telling us that even though the thermostat says it's 92 degrees, it feels like 104 degrees outside. So make sure you're prepared, make sure you're hydrated, make sure you have your sunscreen, make sure you have your bug spray, all those things, because it gets hot here. Okay, it does get hot. And hydrate. We hear that all the time, right? Hydrate and stay safe. So let's get into what type of home should you choose. Well, it depends on what you would like and what you want your home to look like, and how do you want it to present on the inside as well as the outside. And so the choice is yours. Do you want a new construction home? Because new construction now looks different than new construction, say, 10 years ago. Do you want a resale home? Well, let's explore. Each one has their pros and each one has their cons. So with new construction, you're going to get, of course, the latest efficiency in energy appliances. You're going to get a warranty protection for 1 year, okay? You're going to get customization options depending on which builder you decide to choose for your home to build, okay? Because some builders are they're just now getting back into allowing customizations as you're going. And keep in mind too that that can have a direct impact on whether or not you are able to build now, or if you're one of those people who's a year out, I'm talking to you. Now's your time to go ahead and start planning. Now's your time to be working with someone who's already here, who's going to go do the video tours for you, who's going to sit down and do Zoom calls for you, who's going to sit down and tell you the ins and outs, and working with that particular builder. So then that way you can start getting your home prepared and built before you arrive. So then that way, by the time you make it here, you can have your home ready for you and you don't have an extreme wait period, or you're not having to get into rentals because, hey, that's where sometimes money can end up going, where you're spending a few $1,000s a month to maintain living until you get to your permanent spot. Okay, because we do have builders in the area who can have your home within, at, I would say, about 5 to 6 months. And then we have some who can take anywhere from 8 months to a year. All right. So timing can be everything, but you do have builders who do participate in customization options. So then that way you don't necessarily have to have white cabinets, or you don't have to have gray cabinets. Or if you don't want wood stain cabinets and you want the white cabinets, then you can have those. If you want a fully tiled master shower, then you can definitely have one of those too. So it just really depends, and your timing and your planning is going to be everything. Okay. You don't necessarily have to make immediate repairs when you're moving into a new build, because guess what? Someone already covers that for you. So in your first year, your whole house, if a button falls off, if the you have nail pops, if Lord forbid a beam out of a tray ceiling falls down, somebody can come in and they can put that back up for you. Okay. And so you can have that already, kind of like built into your idea that, hey, when I get home or when I get to Huntsville, my first year, I'm not going to have to worry about any out of pocket expenses if there's something wrong. But hopefully we pick the right builder and we pick the right home, and you don't have those type of issues in your first year anyway. Okay. So some of the cons that you can get into when you're looking at new construction: to get everything that you want, sometimes you may have to pay a higher price point if you're wanting to go that far to get exactly what it is that you want. But of course, that's what strategic planning is for, to sit down and talk with someone about what your expectations, your opportunities are, and what your capabilities and abilities are. And also, as we already know, when you're looking at a new construction community, depending on how old the community is, you're going to have to be dealing with limited maturity in terms of plant life and all that good stuff, because you got to wait for the trees to mature. Even now, I can ride through different parts of my neighborhood. My neighborhood was established when I first moved here. I recently moved into it a year ago last year, and I can walk my neighborhood and I can see where the older homes that were there before my arrival, and during my transition here as being a realtor, and watching this community grow, and up until the point to where when I came down to picking a home for me in this area, it makes a difference. Okay, so depending on the age of your community, you may have to deal with not having mature structures or trees in your area. Is going to take a few years for it to catch up. And then also, depending on where you choose, which I didn't necessarily include in this slide, your HOA amenities. Not all communities are created equal. Some people just have HOAs who cover the bare minimum. They want to make sure that they keep the standard of the community at a welcoming standard where you would be happy and want to live at. And those may run you at about 125, 150, usually less than $200 for the whole year when it comes down to HOA fees, because they're not offering you anything other than making sure that the community is maintained at a standard. Okay. And then you have other HOAs where you start getting into the 400 range, 300 range and above. And those are where you're going to start getting your pools, you're going to start getting your tennis courts, you're going to get your gyms, you're going to get your saunas, all that good stuff. Yes, there are communities here who have saunas as part of their gyms. Um, I know in my community, they have us slated for getting a pickleball court. So the amenities can range depending on what community you pick. All right. And so as we transverse over into resale homes, So the pros with the resale homes is that you already have established neighborhoods and you already have established communities with established HOAs, and they already have pools in place, and they already have their gyms established. They already have their tennis courts established. They already have their playgrounds established. So those are things that you want to consider as you're getting ready to go, okay? And you're getting ready to relocate. Those homes are already ready and built and waiting for you. Those sellers are ready to, sell their home if they have them on the market. You will receive mature trees and landscaping. There's immediate availability. There's often a better value per square foot because let's face it, the builders are out here and they're building, and every time they bump the price up once they close out a phase, so that keeps adding up. And, of course, sometimes people be like, hey, let me go ahead and get convenience of something already built. I don't have to wait, and I don't have to, it already has some things. Or they may not like the concept of what the new builders are doing with all the open plans. It's just all a matter of personal choice. So, again, new construction versus resale, it's about what you want. There's no right or wrong answer, okay? And then now the cons with a resale home is that you will have potential maintenance needs. However, we can learn about those during a home inspection as we're getting ready to go through. And then we can also negotiate a home warranty for a year, just like if you were buying a new construction home. And then they can sometimes have older systems and they have older appliances, but that's not to say that the people who are currently living in those homes are not loving on those homes and systems. I have clients, I have friends who have their systems checked every 6 months just because they want to make sure that their systems are running optimally, top notch, and they're consistently getting maintenance, okay? And then, for whatever reason, some people may see it as a con, but once you purchase a house, there's no such thing as limited customizations, unless, of course, you just don't want to take the customizations that far, and or the HOA dictates that that's not a customization that they may allow. But those are in extreme cases, okay? I remember I was living in a neighborhood over in West Huntsville, and our neighbors had a over the top. Now, in my brain as a realtor, I was like, "What are you thinking?" Because you're going to expect to get out what you put in, but they were part of extreme pools. So can you imagine the construction that was going on? Like the construction was backed up like a mile out into the main street of the community. Like it was months. And so I'm glad that I wasn't one of their immediate neighbors or someone who lived on the neighboring streets, because there were always crews there, and not just construction crews, but it was television crews too. But the HOA signed off on them doing this extreme pool in this community, and it came out gorgeous. But like I said, as a realtor, my spidey senses were like, whoa. So limited customization, maybe, maybe not. It depends. It depends on how far you want to take it and what you want to do. Okay. So your 90-day relocation timeline. If you know that you want to buy something on the ground, if you know that you want to buy something that's already built, or you want to be in an established neighborhood, then this can be a potentially safe place for you to operate in. Again, if you're considering building, and depending on who you plan on building with, this needs to be backed up at least to a 6 month mark. But nevertheless, whether it's 180 days, 365 days, you need to research and you need to connect. And you need to partner and stay in communication with your local expert who's going to help guide you along the way to help you understand neighborhoods, understand market conditions because they do change. A lot of people don't realize that they do change. And then also, too, um, they can help you keep up better with what each of the builders doing, because I have builders who are doing one thing this week and then in 2 weeks it's no longer there, but then there's another builder around the corner who does the same thing. Like, it can get, you can get major whiplash when it comes down to understanding what's going on in the market. And then of course, as times change and things, move along, we have so many things that can affect our current market as people are getting ready to relocate into the area. I know we had a slump and a slowdown of homes coming into the market as well as home selling as we were going from the end of July to August. Why? Because we were going through the back to school slump. Now that we have exciting news, people are preparing and they're getting ready. They're getting their homes ready. They may even be considering go ahead and listing through the winter months just so they can be prepared for the income of people as you guys are getting ready to relocate and start your TDY time, your PCS time, the people who are actually going to apply for the jobs here locally in Huntsville. They're already getting ready or thinking about you as the market is getting ready to shift. So you want to make sure that you're in contact with someone so then that way you can have a clear understanding. Make sure you like and subscribe so that you can know what our market conditions are looking like as we're getting ready to go forward. And you also want to make sure that if you are in the 90-day window, you do want to go ahead and start your mortgage approval process. You want to go ahead and be pre approved. So then that way, as we're getting ready, even if you're there, you still want to be pre approved. So then that way you can say, hey, you know what, Aisha, I saw this wonderful house. Can you go do a video tour for me? Absolutely, I can. And I'm going to tell you everything that I see, like, smell, how the house made me feel. You're going to get views of what the neighborhood looks like. Like, it's going to be extremely in depth. So then that way you can see what the community looks like. You can see what the house looks like and what the surrounding houses around you look like. Okay. You can see what the house looks like on the inside. How does it feel? How big the backyard is. So we can go ahead and start pre-gaming your relocation here as you're getting ready to go, okay? Before you even arrive. If you're 60 days out, you want to have your house hunting in full effect. And you want to make sure that your financials are in full effect so that you can prepare for getting this house locked down. Because 30 days out, we want to be either closing because you will have um, no mortgage, or we need to be closing on your arrival in 30 days. One or the other. So we can close 30 days prior, or we can close and your 30-day mark is when you actually arrive here and we go to closing, and boom, you can go ahead and transition into your home and make it smooth and easy. So you want to schedule your house hunting trips, you want to finalize your financing, narrow down your neighborhoods, begin utility transfer research, because each area has the different utilities. Like, we have Huntsville City, but Madison County, they have their own. I'm in a Huntsville area. However, I have Huntsville City Electricity, but I have Monrovia Water for the county. So you want to make sure that you are transversing your utilities and all that good stuff pretty well. But hey, my company also has a concierge service that will help guide you through that process. And then 30 days out, you want to make sure you have your final preparation for your movers to be booked. You want to make sure your utilities are set up. You want to make sure you have your transfer of school records, your medical records, your dental records. You want to confirm your closing details so then that way we have closing prepared for you when you get here, okay? And then you want to prepare for your travel and arrival logistics. Are you going to be staying at a hotel for a few days? Do you already have friends and family who are here who would love to, host you until you're able to go to closing and get into your home? Do we need to find temporary living? Do we need to reach out to the Airbnb so that way you have a transition home, even if it is for a week or 2 weeks or even just a few days? We have a place for you to land here as you're already getting prepared and having the help and guidance that you need on this end to arrive, okay? And so let's get into the three costliest relocation mistakes that people make. Number one is starting too late. Like I said, if you know you want to build a house or you're thinking about building a house, now is the time to be thinking about it, especially if you're looking at, this is going to end up being approximately a year before you arrive, okay? Um, Rushing leads to making poor decisions. It leads you into having to accept limited inventory and particularly paying more, or not getting into where you want to be, or some of the good homes they sell fast in a Huntsville competitive market, especially with the builders when they have popular plans. Those homes can go real quick. You can do budget miscalculations. You want to factor in your moving costs. You want to set aside money for temporary lodging, your utility deposits. Um, on the high end, you can be looking at, 250, 300, depending on the circumstances. I had a client who closed this week because she was purchasing a home, and because the seller, who was not necessarily a person that we were up against, they were an entity, ended up shutting off the utilities, and they did not let us know when they had the utilities shut off. So had they let us know ahead of time, she actually could have avoided a $200 reconnect fee. She just would have had to pay her deposit and transfer her services from the house that she was currently staying in 5 minutes away into the new home. So make sure you plan ahead and that you can kind of like get those done sooner the better, so then that way you can mitigate those little extra nuance costs, because that's literally $200 that she did not have to spend, okay? Any type of unexpected expenses. What does that look like? You could have stuff accidentally packed up in your shipment, like you might not have planned with enough clothes. You might have laundry expenses, especially if you're staying in a hotel and you end up having to stay extra. That can be in an expense of itself. So now you have extra laundry that you're having to do because you have such a limited amount of clothing on your persons. Okay, you want to make sure that you budget 20% more than your original estimate, so then that way you can give yourself the wiggle room. Also too, it's going to get crazy always eating out, and if you're always trying to make sure that you're balancing a healthy lifestyle, you're going to want to prepare for that, which means that you're going to want to make sure that you're doing groceries, and that you're making sure that you're staying somewhere nearby, easy access to a grocery store, things of that nature. So then that way you're not always having to do Uber Eats or DoorDash or going to a restaurant and not necessarily eating the things that you would like to be eating, and end up, picking up a pound or two while you're transitioning here. Don't blame it on Huntsville, because you've been warned, okay? You can't blame it on us because I told you ahead of time, all right? Um, going solo. Going solo can be a costly mistake because you're looking at the shiny things, the bright objects, the things that are, making you so excited to be here. And that can be the difference between making the right move towards a house in one community versus another. You know, how many of you know that, while they're doing a 3-year buy down, it may be more cost effective to go ahead and buy from the builder who's offering you the flat interest rate. Okay. And you end up saving more money in the long run of that loan versus on a 3-year buy down. So make sure you have local expertise on the ground. And even if you don't choose me, make sure you interview your agent, find out how much they're going to hold your hand in the process, how much they're going to share with you information about what's going on in our local market. How well versed are they in understanding the nuances in the new construction arena as they change their lending abilities from month to month or even week to week. So make sure that you have your local professional on the ground. And let's connect live. Where are you from? Share your current location in the chat. What is your timeline looking like? I want to know. Let's talk about it. If you're doing Redstone Arsenal, you're coming here from to Redstone Arsenal. Are you military? Are you contractor? Are you civilian? Or have you? Or are you all of the above? Because let's face it, we transverse our path in life. And please excuse the rain, y'all. Let me know. I want to know. So again, I can be your relocation advantage. I am your relocation advantage. And what I bring to you is I have military tested expertise as 20 years in the United States Navy as a military service member. I was responsible for helping people make their PCS moves as they move as the personnel specialist who gave them their orders and who gave them the tools and the guidance that they needed, and even all the way up to assisting with booking flights when I was stationed overseas. So when it comes to PCS and moves and getting you relocated, I've done it, as well as being a military relocation professional. And every PCS challenge, every family concern, I've lived it, and I've also gone through the process of relocating here as a civilian from another area into the Huntsville area in 2013. So, and been a licensed realtor here since 2014. And of course, we all have heard of and know the wonderful brand of Sotheby's International Realty. We have, like I said, a concierge service that can help make this transition a whole lot easier. And for those of you who are relocating and you're doing a corporate relocation, we also have a corporate relocation department. And we probably 9 times out of 10, because we have a wonderful um, coordinator who handles corporation moves. So if you're doing one of those, if that's what you're going to be doing, feel free to reach out. We probably already have your company connected in our system, and we can go ahead and seamlessly get you transitioned right in. And if you don't, then still give us a call and we can go ahead and make the connection for you, because our relocations team is excellent. And so every week I'm helping families every week make a smooth move into Huntsville, already here in Huntsville. And this is your opportunity for me to help you as well. And again, I am Aisha Buycks with Amanda Howard Sotheby's International Realty here in Huntsville. As you can see, my contact information is on the screen. If you're thinking of relocating, I help families every week make their Huntsville dreams a reality. Make sure that you go down into the description and get your free relocation guide, and subscribe for weekly live sessions, video tours, market insights, and local insights for the Huntsville area. Thank you for watching. I am Aisha Buycks. Make sure you like, subscribe, and share, and have a great day.